my name is Natalia. I'm a senior from Corte Madera, California. I study philosophy, politics, and economics with a minor in English. So we're here at Civic House. One of the reasons I chose Penn was because of this very special tour I had. It was just a generic tour, but it felt like it was kismet. Penn wasn't even on my radar before applying to colleges, but then as soon as I did my campus tour, I was immediately in love with the city and the campus. I immediately chose to ED in that moment, and then I did my interview in late November, and I found out in December that I had been in, which was such a special memory. I think I got this. Okay, I'm okay if I speak. We're here at the quad. We're in front of Fisher, which is currently under construction. This was my freshman year dorm, class of 28 in Fisher. My roommate was Lucy. We did randomized, so I had never met her before. She was so smart. She was always studying for her research and science and chemistry and math, and I was struggling with math 103 intro to calc. I met my best friend through club swim freshman year, Allison Jang. Allie and I met on this club swim run from here to the art museum, so this was a very difficult 3-mile run, and she and I were trailing in the back, and we just talked the whole time, and she's now my roommate and best friend. Yeah, freshman year, finding your place and finding your friends is definitely tough. I think it's a lot of trial and error, but the real ones stick through, and I found my best friends junior, senior year, so you never know when you're gonna find the people that will mean the most to you. How terrible the bathrooms were, that was really traumatic. But I would also see my RA in the hall. We would never interact except for she would run into me when I was down bad. I would be so ill, I would have pneumonia, or I had a concussion. I'd be like, hey, how are you? Freshman year social experiences are just something you look back on and laugh at when you're a senior. I think going out to your first parties, you're wow, this is so cool, and then you're dead sick 1 week later with the frat flu. Well, my first party was at pre-orientation, and so at the end of it there was a big party with all of the other freshmen and seniors, and people were just doing cute little line dances. Honestly, it was a very wholesome experience. But then that was also the night that I lost my pen card, but then it was on my desk the whole time. So that was a very classic experience. You go out and you lose your pen card. So I'm from right outside of San Francisco in California. So coming to Philly was a full cross-country experience. But I came from kind of a suburban area outside of the city, but I spent a lot of time growing up in San Francisco, so coming to Philly wasn't a really difficult transition. I've always been raised on kind of being able to explore a city and adapt quickly, so...
Do you like to?
Chicks. We're here on the campus, my good old friend, on the subject of adapting and adjusting to Penn life. Freshman year, right before my Econ 1 midterm, I got pneumonia, so I couldn't really study, but I persisted to take the exam, and all fall I had been stepping on the campus because the rumor is that the people that started the campus story were all in an unnamed frat that wanted to know who freshmen girls were, so they would say, oh, if you're a freshman, walk around the campus so that we know who you are. And so I was like, F that, F the patriarchy, I'm gonna step on it. Lo and behold, I failed my first econ midterm, flat out failed. But it's okay, it got replaced by my final exam next year, so I did not fail the class. But I will say, I can't tell you whether or not the campus story is true or not, because it did happen to me. This is my sophomore year at dorm. I honestly loved it a lot better than living in the quad. It's more modern. I loved having my own room and a little kitchen to cook in. And this is the first year that I lived with my best friend, Allie, after meeting her freshman year. So that was a really special experience. Honestly, miss Harnwell and the rooftop lounge a lot.
I think that some classes have definitely
flipped the expectation of what academic classes can be, but there's also some that are just, the standard, like 200-person lecture hall where you're struggling through Econ 1. But the small seminar classes with professors who are really invested in their students has been so transformative, where I really see a future where academics is not just like pen to paper, tests, cramming knowledge. They're really about what each student can bring to the table and how learning can be this collaborative process. It doesn't have to just be like memorization. I think my favorite class was Modern US Poetry with Al Filry in Kelly Writer's House. It was a class I took last fall, so my senior fall. I had heard about it from friends, and I'm an English minor, so it helped fulfill a class requirement, but it was also the most transformative experience ever, and it was such a special experience, like something I'll remember forever. One of my PPE core classes that was called Strategic Reasoning, I took it sophomore spring, even though a lot of people take it like junior, senior year, because I was going abroad, so I was like, I want to get this out of the way. And I just spent like so much time working on problem sets and like could maybe only tell you 50% of what I learned now. Al from the Kelly Writer's House, he has been so impactful on this like last half of my college time. He's the one that I took Modern US Poetry with, and he just has a way of making every single person in the class feel like they matter and like they have something important to contribute. One time, because the author we were reading drinks a lot of coffee, Patti Smith, incredible person, in class he like had some of us go to the Starbucks across the street and drink like triple shot espressos and then come back to class to see like how we would behave. So very interactive things like that make class very entertaining. So I've been really lucky to be able to take advantage of a lot of opportunities at Penn. The summer after my sophomore year, I was lucky enough to do research with one of my professors on climate change. Junior year, I was also able to go abroad through Penn at Cambridge, and this experience was so incredible. I was able to really immerse myself in the study of climate politics and also philosophy to kind of like work towards my PE major. And I've also gotten to do PGS classes, Penn seminars, and I just went on one with the class on climate and sustainability, comparing the US to the Netherlands. And that experience was one of the highlights of my time. I've also been really lucky to be a part of a 4-year program called Civic Scholars, which allows me to do community engagement. It's been a really, really incredible experience getting to use all of the resources that Penn has to offer. Here we are at the Kelly Writer's House. This feels like my home away from home. I spent so much time here, and I was really lucky through the Kelly Writer's House Fellows Seminar to get to introduce one of my idols of all time, writer, singer, artist, Patti Smith. And that was just like an unreal experience. And I feel like so emblematic of everything that the Kelly Writer's House has offered to students here at Penn. I think senior year has felt like one big epiphany of feeling like this was the right place to be all along. Getting to really see my dreams to fruition through 34th Street, getting to take some of my favorite English classes this year, getting to kind of like lead the club water polo team, and also just like work on my thesis, things like that. I felt like everything, all the pieces were coming together, and I think I've always felt like Penn was the right place for me, but I think finally by senior year I could see all of these pieces come together and feel like, wow, this really allowed me to explore every interest I have, from academic to creative, and also meet some of my favorite lifelong friends. One of the things that really has allowed me to make the most of my Penn experience, but also be cognizant of like the role Penn has in West Philly, is thinking about my education not as something just to benefit myself, but thinking about how I can use what I've learned at Penn for the greater good. I think my emphasis on climate change and climate justice has been really important to me. I think that Penn has been the experience that has been so special to me because of the people that I've met that feel equally passionate about these kinds of issues. At any university, there are a lot of challenges that come from these kind of ivory tower institutions, and I think the way to start to combat that is to really think about how can my education be used for the betterment of all, not just the betterment of myself. I've also been really, really lucky to work with a lot of professors that feel similarly and also really want to support and foster learning in a way that really focused on community-oriented research or learning. And I've also been really lucky to meet some of my best friends through 34th Street and club sports that have made me feel like I could grow as a person as well. If you guys don't follow the street Twitter, you should, because it's really entertaining. But one time, someone tweeted from street Twitter that Jack Schlossberg was on campus, Kennedy grandson, I guess is the best way to describe him. And I literally ran from like my doctor's appointment back into campus so that I could try to see him. And then I was just like staring at him, and we definitely made eye contact. So you guys are all invited to the wedding.